Hi, everybody. Welcome to the KubeStellar Community Meeting for November 14th, 2024. We're nearing the end of the year here, so I figured even during this week at KubeCon, it's almost a national holiday for most communities, we would still provide a community meeting for people who are in need because our next meeting falls on the North American holiday for Thanksgiving. So I thought it would be prudent for us to use this time to just catch up, even if only for a little bit. Yes, I am in Salt Lake City, Utah, reporting from, and at the KubeCon North America conference. The conference itself is in day two. There's been 2 days of pre-conference meetings and so forth. The first day was WASMCon. Yesterday was a bunch of the educational days for different tracks like AI, education, security, and other focus areas, Istio, Envoy, etc. So we've had a few really good discussions around the show floor. There's quite a few of us here. And so I'd like to give you a little bit of information about that when we get to that section when we get to the KubeCon conferences section in the meeting. So we are members of the CNCF sandbox, and as such, we abide by a contributor code of conduct. I read that here. As contributors, maintainers in the CNCF community, and in the interest of fostering an open and welcoming community, we pledge to respect all people who contribute through reporting issues, posting feature requests, updating documentation, submitting pull requests or patches, and other activities. We are committed to making participation in the CNCF community a harassment-free experience for everyone, regardless of level of experience, gender identity and expression, sexual orientation, disability, personal appearance, body size, ethnicity, race, age, religion, or nationality. What that essentially means is just please everybody be nice to each other. We are recording the meeting and it is live. If you do not wish to be on camera, please turn it off. If you do not wish to speak out or be recorded, please don't speak up, stay on mute. And if you don't wish to be on here at all because it's being recorded, please leave the meeting. You can add yourself to this agenda by going to kubestellar.io/join us, the link that I'm highlighting here on the screen. At which point, once you've joined, you'll get a regular meeting request for our biweekly meetings, as well as get access to our artifacts in Google Drive. And at which point, then you can fill out the attendee list as listed here. Let's see. Let's get started. I think I may have had artifacts left over from last time, so I don't think, is June or Braulio on the line? I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, June's here. Okay. Braulio I know is not. All right. All right. I know that we've got release. Oh, did release 0.25 go completely, or no, we're at 0.25.3? Is that where we're at now? Does anybody know which release candidate we're on?
No, the regular release is out.
Oh, it is out. Okay, so this is accurate. Okay, just making sure. Oh, great. Okay, congratulations. I saw some updates to cross references, but I didn't know for sure. All right, good. All right, so then point release 25.1 in preparation. Okay, more doc changes, of course, right? Good to keep those docs current. I saw a bunch of things being changed in terms of getting rid of dollar signs and some of the command prompts and some errant items that are in command lines that were being removed. Anything, and of course, more to do with the transport controller and combined status. Anything else we'd like to comment on in 25.1 and its upcoming changes? Okay. All right. Okay, so the create only bit, it looks like at this point, because of the work that we've been doing for AI workload distribution with, I guess, the integration with Q, um, is now alive in 0.25 and 0.25. So that can be used, which is fantastic. Thank you for implementing that. And prohibition on empty DownsyncObjectTest being checked. So what's the latest on that particular bug?
Well, it's not a bug. It's kind of a safety for users. It's just avoiding a goof up that users can make. And we implemented it during the development cycle for 0.25, so it's there now.
Oh, I understand now. Okay, got it. All right, thank you for that. All right, the all-in-one demo environment deployment script is now merged. I had a timeout here when I tried to use it locally. I'll try and use it again. I probably was using an older version. Maybe I was not using the latest .25 or 25.1. So I'll check that out later today. I'm going to try to use it.
I will say, when I test at home, I sometimes get incredibly long timeouts because it takes incredibly long to pull some of the images. I've seen it take like 8 minutes to pull an image into a laptop at my house. And so I think what we really need to do is make it more of a idempotent thing so people can just try again. Because I think we don't really have control over how long it takes to pull images to arbitrary places.
Yeah, I got that same response and behavior here when I was trying it. And of course, on a network with 9,200 other people, I would suspect it might be a little slower than with a dedicated line. Even one from home sounds interesting, right? Because you are not, I mean, yes, you are sharing it with others in the neighborhood, but you typically are guaranteed a little bit more on terms of speed. We had a total outage here at one point this week because of a snowstorm that came through. That was really incredible to be offline for that period of time at a conference. Yeah, Franco, you had a question?
Would it make sense to have an override parameter argument for the script to allow for user that know that the network is low to either disable the timeouts or to make the timeout significantly larger? You know, and overall maybe timeout parameters to allow users that you know are willing to wait and know that the network is low to increase the timeout easily.
I mean, I question altogether, you know, for if we're on the verge of eliminating the possibility of eliminating the timeout for certain users, then why do we have the timeout anyway? So, but yeah, you make a good point. I understand it's there to safeguard.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. You both made. I think both comments are worthy. I'm not sure I have a clear opinion yet, but clearly there's something that we need to do.
Mm. Yeah, this is one of the reasons why I was prefetching a few of those containers up front. It works well for the initial hub creation, but then beyond that, of course, I don't know that it's helpful. So if there's another one that's there that takes longer and can be prefetched somehow, maybe it can have its own life cycle, you know, within the. But I mean, that starts to get complicated. I don't know. But yeah, good thing to have a discussion about, because I think we're still suffering from it in certain places, and that could lead to a lot of inconsistency with the user's experience. All right. I'll try it some more today when I'm working at the booth. Okay. There is a script for a disconnected operation that 2 of the interns are working on. Hopefully, a blog post will come out of that by the end of the year. I know that they've been working at trying to get game 2048 to have 2 different colors to show that 2 different sites. One site's been delivered to 2 remote hosts or remote clusters, and then one remote cluster is removed from the network and therefore doesn't get updates. So a color is applied, a change in background, a change in foreground for the game, and then applied, and then one cluster picks it up and it's visible, and one cluster doesn't, and it's not visible. So that's something they're working on. We'll see how that comes about in the months ahead. All right. We don't have Braulio on here today, I don't think. So I don't know. I know he gave a talk on. On performance testing as it relates to KubeStellar. It was attended by, I guess, a dozen or so people. I think a few of those were fairly interested in the subject matter. it was, I think it could have been, I don't know how much more that we could have expected from that particular talk, but I think it was good to get some exposure. The place where they're actually holding some of these discussions are kind of hidden away. You got to go down an escalator, up an escalator, and through the woods. So placement of the talks is, I guess, somewhat important also because some people have trouble finding them. And in this particular conference center, while it's fairly straightforward, it's like an L-shaped conference center. It There's a few little nuances to getting to certain areas. It may be a deterrent that may have contributed some. But Braulio and Glor did give another discussion. I'll get to that in just a second. All right, so I see. All right, so we have summarization work in progress. Yeah, I've seen a few PRs still banting about on combined status. Where are we with combined status? I know that there's a few outstanding items in there still.
So we have an initial draft working. There's a PR in progress to enhance the propagation metadata that's available. And there's a couple of IFO students that are working on that, as far as I know.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mike, for that update. There's a change to the core Helm chart, so for people to be able to test their own work. Franco, I think you were working on that. You want to comment?
Yes, has been completed. I thought we reported already in the previous meeting, but the core chart now includes incorporate the original KubeStellar and transport charts, so it's more streamlined, and the final user can access more easily all the parameters of KubeStellars and the transport, and also allows to more easily to test your own build of the images and your local version of the Helm chart. So for that, there are examples in the testing that is currently being run for the releases, and that basically does a local testing of the images being built and the local version of the chart before the release.
Okay, good. So it's part of our CI/CD. Good. So I get your journey when it started a few years back didn't include becoming a Helm chart expert, but thank you very much for your contribution.
Thank you.
All right, new bash script. So I saw this. This is something that I was asking the interns to take up, but I'm glad it's being taken up in also amongst the maintainers. So this snapshot of a deployment and saving logs in YAML. Is this something that will be, do you intend on having that as part of an iteration creation cycle?
Potentially, as we have been discussing that. This is a very preliminary first iteration of it, as its own limitation. It's trying to list the all the resources that are involved in KubeStellar deployment. And as of the latest latest commit, it allows for dumping the logs, I believe, of all the pods of interest, and as well as the YAML of the Helm being deployed and the YAML of all the resources in the cluster. So that, in that sense, could be potentially useful for issue reporting. I created a target zip, so that could be easily uploaded for reporting. I also consider it somewhat a way for the local user to visualize what it's happening. You know, when you create a new binding policy and stuff like that, with all the limitation of the current way of displaying the console, right? It tells you what object is being picked up by what policy and going from what WDS to what cluster, right? At least it tries. This is a very first instance, so I encourage anybody that to try to use it to take a snapshot of their deployments, see if it makes sense, and provide feedback in the issue in the pull request that is still open.
Yeah, I think this is a good idea, especially since we're oftentimes fumbling and asking questions that are consistent amongst people with open issues, but probably could be better served by automatically collecting it in some cases or in many cases, because the folks that are trying the environment out for the first time may not know all the nomenclature or the mechanics behind Kubernetes in general, and may not be able to adequately supply it in a reasonable time frame that we can address the issue, or if at all. So I think it's a great idea to have this. So good.
Yeah, it would be great to have some feedback from the user or from the student. Right now, I'm looking more than the technical detail of the bash script that could contain bugs and stuff like that. More of an eye level, does it make sense? Does it help or not? Doesn't it, doesn't help me at all, confuses me or something like that. And, do I get, maybe I missed some information. It's always possible, but that's easy to, evolve and fix, but at least to have an idea if it makes sense. And then we can build on it.
Yeah, it's one of those cases of we don't know what we don't know kind of thing when it comes to their point of view. So it's going to take some interaction over the course of time. I don't know that we'll get that right away. The fall semester seems to be a bit challenging. I'm guessing we're going to get better results in the summer, but I know I'm working with a few of the professors that we've worked with in the past on developing seminar sessions for their curriculum, and what that means is they'll actually have real accountability when a student is part of our internship program. So that yes, they will have plenty of other priorities besides us, but it will be an official class for which they'll get an official grade, and will be audited on their contribution. So I'm working on forging that ahead. I got one university to agree upon it, and the other one does it for one semester only, but I'm looking to expand that a bit. We'll see what happens. The interns are working on right now, just as a point of information, they are working on a user interface, and so I got to tell you, everywhere I turn around, I see Argo when it comes to things that I think KubeStellar could be in the middle of. And could potentially improve or give people at least another choice at how to deploy their workloads. And so I think having a user interface will at least get us on the map, if for nothing else, to appear in screenshots of things other than text running across this console. So I think it'll be good for us to have that, and I hope to see some fruits to that within either this semester or at least by summer of 25, to see something actually hit the page and show that we've made some progress there. All right, KubeCon EU, the call for proposals is open. Please go ahead and book your hotel now if you are proposing to talk, and that's important because for this particular conference, I'm directly across the street from the front entrance of the conference, and I've got to tell you, it saved me a ton of time, money, and helped my feet out tremendously from conferences in the past. And that's because I booked this the moment that the CFP opened last year. And because it's a hotel room, you don't have to cancel but 24 hours beforehand. So if your talk is not accepted and you cannot secure funding to go to the conference from your employer or from yourself privately, then you can always cancel your hotel reservation, but it will make your life a lot easier when you're on site. So please, I urge you to go ahead and book hotel plans, even if you don't know what the outcome may be of your submission. Paolo, I know, is going to resubmit some talks, Braulio as well. Some talks were submitted already. I put 2 in. I'm going to change the titles to be a little bit more flashy and catchy, based on what I've seen here in terms of scheduling. When you look at the schedule that for KubeCon North America, you can all do this. It's public record. You'll see that the titles are, rather catchy in the way that they're very contemporary. So you want to kind of make it attractive for others to want to attend your session, if for nothing else than from the top level. It was really fascinating to see how some of them, the content may have been dry, but the title was rather flashy, and they drew more of an attendance, I think, because of it. Now, whether those people stay for a long period of time, it's not for me to say. But what counts is the number of people you get through the door, and that's where they count how many people are in attendance for your talk, and then they report that metric back. So those are some high-level things. Franco, thank you. I think you're on your way to submitting a specific talk about Helm subchart dependencies. And so I know we've been talking back and forth about how to shape that talk. Anything you want to, any update you want to give us?
No, I got approved by my manager for submission, so I'm gonna still work on the exact wording in the next few days. I'm busy with other projects as well, so it's always a challenge to make time for it. But
Okay,
we'll see.
so that's great. So the three major points I would make your hotel reservation now. 2, concentrate not only on the abstract but on the title. Give it a lot of thought and GPT. And the third thing I would say, benefits to the ecosystem. I'm hearing there's rumor floating around that specific field in the submission holds a lot of weight in consideration. So be weary of either don't copy the abstract into that space because it doesn't show that you've thought through what the benefits are, and apparently being frank or on it, very forthcoming or blunt about what the benefits are to the ecosystem, because it doesn't show up in the program anywhere, or it's a respectable place to vent those things. So those are the tips that I would give you.
Okay, yeah, I consider I did put the benefits, but I'll rework it more. It was not a cut and paste. My limitation is the inexperience in this type of conference in the field. So it is a challenge for me to even assess what and how much of a benefit it will be, and if this material that is perhaps challenging for me is it's observed as challenging for the community as well. So that's, I'm gonna try my best, but it's hard to say.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess how can I really put this? This idea of there's a biology or microbiology term for this, but it's escaping me. Kevin, you may know what I'm talking about. When you latch onto a host, like a microbe will latch on to, let's say, like a sperm whale, and that's how it survives. Anyway, there's this idea that these bigger fish that are in the CNCF, these graduated programs, and one of which is, of course, Helm. And for us to have, I think there's a strategy could be going forward is to work with programs like Q, which is a hot topic right now, right, for HPC workload placement, Helm, Prometheus, Grafana, Loki, big projects like that, and then introduce KubeStellar or show how KubeStellar either benefit or integrated with them. I think using KubeStellar on its own isn't really flashy or attractive to folks to hold to reserve a room that has 30, 40 people in spaces for people, or 200 chairs for people to attend, because they're not sure if it'll be worth the slot allotment. So I think using this strategy of attaching our project back to bigger host projects would be, I think, is something that it would be worthwhile pursuing. And especially, like, that's why I encourage you to continue to go with Helm, and in the process of showing how you did this for Helm, introducing KubeStellar as a project that benefited from it. I think that's the right way to go going forward. Okay, update on North America. So I had a booth talk last night at the IBM booth. That went well. The lightning talk, the project lightning talk, I had about 350 people in attendance there. That was really, really special. I really appreciated that. That was the largest crowd that I've ever spoken to on behalf of a open source project, and that was really nice to have that turnout. People really, I think, understood what we put across, and they enjoyed the entertainment. So that was cool. The project pavilion, I'm slated to be there this afternoon from 1:45 to 5. There was some tech discussion tables that's not really being used. It's not really been active that I've seen. And I also went ahead and used the project pavilion. There's a stage there that they've given people access to. You just sign up for a slot, go up and talk about your project. The stage was limited in terms of its usefulness because they had put tables up on the top of the stage and stapled the microphones directly to the tables such that you couldn't pull them away far enough that you could use them. So you had to hunch over. It was really not useful. So I gave that feedback. I won't be doing it again today because it was just it was awkward to try and talk to people out there in the crowd. We also got let's see what else. Braulio's digital architecture talk with Glar went really well. Lots of really good questions, people interested. Some interesting angles to people asking questions as well. One in particular was like Discover card services, which I thought was interesting, a financial angle. And just as we're looking at edge devices as potential for inclusion and delivery of workloads, Discover services or Discover card services, the folks behind Discover, they are also looking at edge markets, right, for funding and so forth. So to see, they're interested in seeing who shows up at these edge-based discussions to see who's in the room, who's asking questions, and if there's potential clientele that are, or, if there's interest, and if so, then Discover, I guess, will make some type of investment in this space. So I thought that was an interesting angle. Scale testing, Braulio and Ezra were up on stage. It was okay attended, but there was I don't think enough people understood the actual goal of the talk, and it was just by reflection of who was asking questions, and so I don't know. That one was a little bit iffy for me. Let's see, and we didn't get chosen for the Interns for Open Source panel, so we didn't discuss or showcase that at all. But we will try again for EU. Okay, last item, and then we'll turn it over to the team here. So the SDF program, there's continuous work on that. We're now including this let's see, this notion of a safe space for AI. What that means is that farmers and growers that have data from their farms that want to use that for the potential for training a model for its use on their farm to give them feedback on water usage and nitrate runoff, they're going to be using this technology to do that, but there'll also be a place for researchers and technical agricultural entities to access that data, but in an anonymized fashion. So none of coordinates like GPS coordinates and other things are removed and redacted, so that this way they can't know exactly who submitted that information, and therefore they can't use it as a way to charge people back for their use of their data. So an interesting little, they're calling it, I think, a safe compute space. More information to come on that, but that's a research area that they're working on. All right, and that's about it for me. So
a question on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not quite sure I follow what sense of the word safe is operative here.
Yeah, it's a term that they're using. It's not really clear. It doesn't come off clear to me, but I know the background of it, so I'm just able to explain it. It's essentially if you know you can mask fields and information, kind of like how we think of PII. The same is true for farmers, right? Farmers don't want them to be specifically pointed out inside the data that's being collected. So therefore they can't be, an agricultural technology company can't turn around and use the data and say, oh yeah, we created a model, we want to sell it back to you. Meanwhile, it's the farmer that submitted the data in the first place and now is being charged for having been part of a study. So that's unfair. And so that's what they want people to be able to do research on data that's submitted by farmers, but they don't want the farmers to be identified specifically by either name or by location.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. Anybody else got anything they want to add to the agenda or talk about? All right. Okay, everybody. Well, that's the update from here in Salt Lake City, Utah. If you have any questions, hit me up on Slack. If you need me to hunt anybody down, I'm going to walk around for most of the day, talking to different corporations and technologies and projects to see where they're at and what they're looking to do, and maybe we can be part of that discussion. Did speak to two, one Cloudera, which was an interesting discussion about how they're distributing cloud resources and they have a need to manage the same. So there might be something there. Also spoke to a company called CoreWeave. They're doing hardened and resilient and consistent, how would you put it? Hardware, core environments for processing or training AI models at scale. Really, really big training facilities for being, and resources, of course, that come with it. So the idea is to make sure that every GPU is responding and reacting in a consistent manner, and they do that through everything from the way that they set up the environment, connect network cables to it, InfiniBand or regular Cat6 or something like that, and all the way down to, you know, how the independent GPU is performing on a regular basis, and heat, throughput, error rate, etc. So those types of things. And so building those type of very hardened environments is attractive for people that want to use or have a need for large scale training exercises. And I think it's pretty lucrative for them to have that consistent environment. And they're doing it all through Kubernetes with different operators and extensions to their and integrations with open source projects. Pretty cool stuff. So if you get a chance, check out CoreWeave. That's a cool technology to update yourself on and what's going on in the AI space. And also check out Cloudera. It's a little bit more abstract for Cloudera, but I think CoreWeave you'll understand the structure of the stack and why it's valuable to people and clients. And I'll continue to look at more and give you any feedback I might. In 2 weeks, it's Thanksgiving here in the United States, so we won't be holding this meeting. So I wish you all a happy holiday if you're celebrating it, and we'll see you again in December.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.